Hello everybody, how's it going? Screezilla here, and I hope you're all well, and welcome back to World of Warships, where today we are going into a Submarine battle. We are versing a few bots, and we've got a few bots on our team, and I am taking out the Leander, the British light cruiser. Now, interesting thing for the Leander, of course, and the reason I'm taking it out is because it has depth charges. One of the few, or only, cruisers I think that does have a depth charge option, which is kind of fun for submarines, isn't it? Now, obviously, we are going to be, sort of just getting used to this and just getting, really just a trial run in the ship, just to see how things go, obviously. We're not quite finished the testing stages yet, but this was a nice early test, and I feel like light cruisers having that option to actually ferret out submarines as well as destroyers is a definite need and a useful thing to have, because, well, when you don't have that option, it does make it a little bit tricky if all of your destroyers end up dead. It's not very useful when you lose all of your destroyers, and that's happened in a few games that I've played in submarine mode, where we've had our destroyers just whittled away instantly and everything's gone wrong. Now, the Leander class was a fairly decent light cruiser. It was designed for commerce protection, not to commerce raid, because no British ships were going to commerce raid. That wouldn't be British, would it? It was a sort of influence of the York class or heavy cruiser. It was just sort of designed to be a very fast, sleek light cruiser with 8-inch guns, I think. No, 6. Where am I? 6-inch guns. That's one. I'm always terrible with my inches. So it's fairly small armament. Of course, you don't have any HE rounds, you've just got the armour piercing for the British. You do have those lovely torpedoes though, and they can be very useful. You do have a heel, and of course you've got smoke screens, so you're kind of a multi-purpose ship. You're quite useful, and it's got a fairly okay anti-air capability. It's got a fairly okay, it's kind of basically fairly okay. If we just look at the actual bits here, you can sort of see what I mean. It's not the greatest ship in the world, but it does its job quite well. The whole enemy team has come to be, however, which is where I am, and that's not going to be useful. So there's a Dallas, a Toronto, and a Prince Isaac Frederick, as well as a few destroyers and submarine. So we're going to start opening fire here, because we're going to be able to get into cover, and there's a very juicy looking Dallas there, broadside on, armour piercing shells. We've got to take this chance while we still can. Hopefully we won't get punished for it. We're trying to get some speed. We get one hit, and the battleship is firing on us, and we're broadside on, and we got a spanking for it. We deserved that. That was our own fault. Now we've got to try and get into a safe spot. So we're powering forwards, and next up is that Toronto. Now, firing on us, it's got semi-armor piercing shells loaded. Luckily, if it had AP shells, we would definitely have been citadeled there. But instead, it's now sailing broadside onto us. Being a bot, it's not that smart, obviously. So sailing broadside onto us means we're going to get some nice citadels from this. At least we hope to. So trying to get fires out, and one thing I'm not doing is slowing down fast enough for my smoke. So I sort of not noticed the fact that there is a rather large battleship creeping up to the left of me as I'm busy firing away on this Toronto, and now I realise there's a battleship there, and go into oh crap mode. Now, the reason we're not slowing down as fast as I thought is because we have engine damage, which I completely forgot about. So we sail out of our smoke screen relatively quickly. We fire off our torpedoes, He's been hit and it's flooding, so there is some good news for us. We need to get some shots off and we need to try and damage the guns. Luckily, not aiming at us at the moment, so we might get away with this still. We're going to reverse into our smoke screen and hope that these miss. We get a hit, we get a couple of over penetrations, and we are very lucky there not to die. So we got some luck to us just then. Hit the repair button and it's time to get underway. There is a submarine, the cachalot. So we can't hit it because it's too deep at the moment. It's sort of sitting relatively deep, and now it's come to the surface. If we had HE shells, we could damage it here. Our AP shells are being a little bit iffy. We should be able to damage it here, but we don't. So this is one of the issues that some ships have, is obviously your AP shells can't really damage a submarine when it's at that depth, which is quite annoying. But we've hit our sonar, so this guy can't escape now, and hopefully our bot friend there in the destroyer will go over the top of him and start dropping depth charges, which of course, it being a bot, it probably won't do. So we're just keeping an eye on this one. He's dropped to 21 meters down, so gone to full depth below, but that's going to chew up his battery and oxygen reserve. Keeps sitting down there. First of all, it's going to run out of oxygen at some stage, or energy, battery power. So it's going to be forced to surface. So we're going to turn in and start heading that way. Now, one thing I've seen a lot of submarine players do is surface just as a ship is coming over the top of them, to ram them and kill them, and that's what's happened to me a couple of times when I've been just about to depth charge them. They basically just come up and then kill you by raising up into you, and that's kind of an annoying thing. This guy's sent off torpedoes, made himself more visible to us, and he is going to start to have to raise soon because the oxygen and battery reserves are going to start fading, and here we come. You can see he is raising up very quickly, and pop, out comes the submarine. Boof goes our shells, all over penetrations of course, because we're using arm piercing. It's not the best shell to have. We do get one penetration, that's kind of okay. Secondaries start firing off as well, but this guy is very much dead. So there we go, we get the penetrations we needed, and that's the damage we need as well. Our lovely bot has decided to launch torpedoes in our direction, so we can't turn right, which is where I wanted to go. So I had to turn left and do a big swing around. So we've killed one submarine. That's good news. That is good news. Our team is doing well. We've got a lot of ships still in the game. We're ahead on points, and we've got 2 caps while they've got 1, and they are still capping A. Unfortunately, we don't really have anything down at A to defend, so we're going to have to head that way. Our aircraft carrier is busy doing its job, and just having a little look at the Gepard there. Sneaky look. Just didn't know if it had black camouflage or if it was just damaged. It is just very damaged. So the aircraft carrier is to the right and being chased by a couple of submarines. Our friendly submarine and our friendly destroyer is chasing that. No, sorry, 2 friendly submarines are chasing that, sorry. Which is, you know, all well and good, but the enemy still has a destroyer, 2 submarines up as well. And the issue is they're not really going to catch the aircraft carrier. When you're submerged and stuff, you've got some speed, but of course it's not quite fast enough. If we actually sort of get the view around, oh, there we go, you can sort of see that they're chasing down the CV, but they're not really able to do much on there. So they're trying to chase down that carrier and launching torpedoes at it, but it's able to pretty much dodge them. Now, the enemy submarine is also heading down that way. So we know that there's one enemy submarine up here, and we've just seen those torpedoes launched on that Fuso, so it's time to head over to that area. That Fuso has been hit by a couple of torpedoes and is flooding, as you can see, the steam coming out of the smokestacks. Boilers obviously flooded, and I must say, being a battleship with submarines around is not that fun. I think when submarines are released, it's going to really change the playstyle for people. You're going to have to work as a team to escort your battleships. You're going to have to actually have a screen and use some actual military tactics rather than just sailing out as a lone wolf, because at the moment everybody's doing this sort of lone wolf thing and it doesn't work, especially as a battleship player. You're going to need a destroyer escort or a light cruiser escort just to basically screen for the submarines. So I've put my hydroacoustic now, so that means that submarine, if it launches torpedoes, I'm going to see them early. It also means that I'm going to be able to detect that submarine. Now he has gone to depth now, he's dropped down to 42 metres, so at danger depths. And there's Farragut over there, which we kind of need to take out because that could be a difficult target. We don't really want to be caught on fire and having to take damage. We fluff our shots, however. But I'm a little bit more focused on this destroyer because I knew that some torpedoes were coming and they miss us. So this is good. They would have been the rear torpedoes, I think, by the movement of that sub. Now we're going to get over the top of that. And this is where depth charges come in, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what we have on board the Leander. So we're just going to scooch along here, get over the top of this guy, and I was waiting for the circle to appear. It didn't seem to happen, so I wasn't too sure what to do here, but the Farragut's firing at us and the submarine is starting to come up to us as well, so we're going to have to start dropping depth charges in a moment. So just trying to look whereabouts I am. Depth charges away, and we'll see how this goes. Boom, 1,000 damage. Boom, 1,000 damage. Boom, 3,600 damage. Boom. That is a dead submarine. That was a full health submarine taken out in a couple of moments. The enemy destroyer's done. That submarine's done, and we've cleared off this flank now. So let's head to A and start capping. As you can see, though, we've lost a lot of our team. We've lost 2 of our submarines. We've still got a destroyer up, we've still got a battleship up, and we've still got our CV up, but that's it. And, well, our battleship is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. Our destroyer is in big trouble in B because it's about to get absolutely wiped out by the enemy submarine, because it's a bot. Obviously it's not that smart. Bots aren't too bad in World of Warships, but they seem to be struggling a little bit with submarines. They don't really get it. It's like the aircraft carriers. When there is a bot controlling an aircraft carrier, it usually flips out and doesn't know what to do. It doesn't really work well with them because of the aircraft carrier changes. It tends to struggle a little bit. So we've still got that one submarine trying to chase down the Ryudo over there and not doing great work of it. Considering there were 2 submarines chasing it, the destroyers chasing it, and they've all been sunk, it's sort of showing it's not working. So, you know, sometimes you have to admit defeat and start going otherwise. It would have been good for our U-69 to actually go and start trying to do some anti-submarine warfare, because now we've got to start taking on this carrier ourselves. Now, of course, with our armor-piercing shells, we should be able to get some citadels on this guy, but being a light cruiser, we're not going to do huge amounts of damage. We're also going to struggle a lot with the fact that we're alone and we don't have the best anti-aircraft defense, of course. Hopefully we're not going to get spotted too quickly. Sort of consider popping some smoke here, but decide no, I'm going to steam ahead because we need to kill this guy, and we're going to get our shots aimed up in a moment because he's busy with the enemy just enemy submarine. So I'm hoping that he'll be distracted by that submarine long enough for me to start getting some shots in. However, plot twist. Torpedo bombers appear. Oh crappity crap, it's time to start firing. There's no point in smoking out right now. Now, we can see where the torpedoes are going, and I see a shot land, and I thought that was a torpedo. It wasn't, it was just a shot overlapping, so I steer into a torpedo. Not the best move, but we survive it. We've actually survived that, that's good. Now it's going to come back around, so this time we're going to come around, and we are going to make sure we miss those torpedoes, which we do. We can manoeuvre without too much problem. Not too hard to outmaneuver torpedoes, in all honesty. You know, we can get our positioning just right. Now it's time to make this guy suffer. Of course, we get a ricochet and a few misses, but we can now get on target. There are some rocket planes coming in now, and they are surely going to hurt us. So we've been set on fire, and we've had a bit of damage done to us. We put out the fire because we're quite low on health, and we get another citadel. Now I probably should have waited until the second torpedo plane, sorry, this is where we put out the fire, sorry. We put out the fire and that's it, but he managed to launch another wave of torpedo bombers, so we're in the danger zone because we could get killed here by, sorry not torpedo, by rocket fighters. We can get killed by rockets here if he sets us on fire. If we get caught on fire, we're dead. So we manoeuvre, and luckily no fire. We lose our torpedo tubes, but we've got a sliver of health left. We're just turning the ship to get the anti-aircraft on target. Managed to shoot down another couple of planes. And we spin around, and rocket comes in, just grazes us, doesn't do much damage, and that's it. Good night, plane. Now we see an enemy submarine steaming towards us. The U-69 is coming at us pretty hard. And this is where that enemy, our friendly submarine should have really been focusing on this submarine, focusing on this guy. Now we're going to launch torpedoes, but the match is pretty much done. We're going to win on tickets. There's not much this guy can do. Try and get a couple of shots in at the end here, but again, we miss our target. And that is the end of the match. So we'll go to the end screen for now. So let's have a look at how that game was. So we ended up with 63 hits on target, 55,000 damage, 449,000 credits, which is bloody nice actually for the Leander, 7 citadels, a lot of that was very useful. And we of course got a kill with our depth charges. Killed three ships, well, 2 ships and 1 submarine. So that was good. 6 planes taken down. Yeah, that was pretty good in all honesty. If we look at the detailed report, we can see the damage we did. Obviously, we did a lot of damage to the second submarine. We sunk 2 submarines in the end, which is kind of cool. That's a good work for us. Being a light cruiser, it gave us a little bit more option, of course. Now, because we don't have HE shells, it can be a little bit tricky to get the shots on target, but we did get some shots on target, of course. So that was decent. And then all of the rest of the damage was done via depth charges. And as you can see, almost 5,000 damage done with 1 depth charge, I think. Depth charges definitely do some serious damage. So it was nice to see that depth charges are useful. I imagine those players are going to go, oh my god, Leander is overpowered. But as you saw, we just got very lucky in the end. We could have died multiple times, and a few bots on the team. It was kind of useful, and we had to travel pretty much across the whole map, so we ended up travelling 72 kilometres in that game, which is a fair distance map to map side. So you can definitely see the sort of trouble you have. Just a quick look at credits and XP. So as you can see, we still end up with 424,000 credits, which is nice. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that game. Nice to actually take a ship out in the submarines and see how it goes. Now I'm getting submarines tomorrow, so I'll see how they are. So that's kind of nice. So it's just good to see that submarines aren't all powerful. As you can see, like, we dodged a couple of torpedoes there. I think it was the bum torpedoes of the catch lot. So we did dodge those pretty well. And then, of course, depth charges did their job, which is great to see, because I was kind of a bit worried that depth charges wouldn't really do the job for us, and they did. So we'll just quickly open these containers while we're here. Doobie doobie doo, and lots of lovely free experience as well from this too, so that's nice as well. Always added bonus. Some coal and a duplicate. Oh well. That's all okay. And see what we get this time. Some flags. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all. So yeah, Leander is quite a strong ship for this. Obviously, it's a light cruiser, which does really help. It's the only cruiser I've got that does have depth charges as an option. I think the everything else is considered a slightly heavier class, didn't carry depth charges. So, you know, like the French sort of light Glacier, yeah, it's pretty much a light cruiser, the Glacier. It's, you know, it doesn't have depth charges. The Huang as well doesn't have depth charges, which is basically a Leander, but it's a well, it's a what is it? It's Chinese. I thought it was Chinese. Yeah, Chinese version of the Leander class, but with a different gun layout, of course. Does not have depth charges, so it's nice to see that there's a little bit more use for the British light cruiser line, you know, having those depth charge options. Hopefully we'll see a few other ships get that option. If we just look at Russia, for instance, because they've just had their light cruisers added, haven't they? So I don't think any of the Russians get it either. So no, it just seems to be so far. I think it's I'm probably wrong, but the only ones I've found with depth charges are the British light cruisers. So it's nice to have that as a little bit of an extra incentive. Actually, I wonder if Germans will have them, because they do have some good hydro on their cruisers. Again, they might just not be added yet. That's the other thing, because yeah. So wrong ship. We want to go to VI, don't we? So Nuremberg. Yep, so Nuremberg doesn't have depth charges either, so it just seems to be a British thing at the moment of the depth charges, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it makes a difference, because especially at the moment when people aren't used to it, people sort of think, oh, it's a light cruiser, that's not going to be able to affect us. Oh crap, it has depth charges. Boom, 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 one dead submarine. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, a bit of a look at the submarines, and I'll see you all next time. This is me, Carl Screezilla, out. Bye-bye.